In Arthur Miller's 1953 play The Crucible, there was a character named Giles Corey who, despite having a rough exterior, turns out to be one of the most valiant characters in a story full of panic and hysteria. His demise comes in the fourth act when he is crushed to death by the court who is trying to get him to admit to performing witchcraft, the only phrase they can muster out of him being "more weight," which would go on to be his final words. Now, there's several ways to analyze this, but I like to think of it as a test of perseverance. Even when the literal forces of gravity are coming down on him, Giles does not succumb, even challenging the notion that he will back down despite his fatal circumstance. Even when his body was getting weaker with every breath he took, his strong will held out to the very end. Oh, baseball, yeah, that's what we're talking about here. I was watching Game 1 of the NLDS between the Padres and Dodgers when this guy comes up to relief for the Padres in the 7th inning, Tim Hill. Now, I've seen him before from watching the occasional Padres game, and he's always stuck out to me. I'll be honest here, the reason he's always stuck out is because, look at him. He's kind of a rough-looking guy. He looks like an extra from Dazed and Confused, or the guy you try to avoid eye contact with at the 7-Eleven. And here he was looking a little extra. Okay, look to the runner, it's not there. Yep, he's definitely not there. Nope, don't want that. Yes, don't acknowledge the catcher. Just hopefully he saw me, and wha-bam. Yep, that sounds good in my head. Yep, sounds like a good pitch. Look to the runner, it's not there. Yeah, he's still not there. Acknowledge you one more time just in case you didn't see me, and wha-bam. So I did a bit of research, and what I found made him my new favorite reliever. And after this video, I hope he'll become yours too. Here are the 5 adversities of Tim Hill. You read that right. Tim Hill couldn't throw overhand. He never gave much of an explanation for it. I guess his body just never installed that program. Now look, if I ever had serious ambitions to become a sports star and I couldn't throw overhand, then I probably would have chosen hockey or basketball. Anything but baseball, and certainly not a pitcher. But Hill wanted to be a ball player, and even though he would never be able to pitch in a typical fashion, Hill could model his form after sidearm lefties such as Mike Myers, and use his wiry frame and tall stature to deceive hitters, using one of the funkiest deliveries they'll ever see. Hill was only 17 years old when his father passed away from colon cancer. This would make him just about a junior or senior when this tragedy occurred. Most of us can't even begin to comprehend such a loss. In the best cases, your dad is your biggest advocate. To lose your dad, not only at such a young age, but during such a pivotal time for an aspiring athlete, is devastating beyond comprehension. I don't really know how well Hill performed in high school, but according to this one tweet, he didn't fare too well. But who could blame him? It's hard to keep focused when everything is crumbling around you. Lack of performance on the field led to Hill going undrafted, and lack of performance in the classroom led to Hill having to accept pitching at Palomar Junior College, shout out King of JUCO, before playing his way onto Bacone Tribal College. Even though he struggled in high school, an experience marred by the passing of his father, Tim Hill continued to fight. His inability to give up led him on the Royals draft board in 2014 for the 32nd round. Now look, getting drafted for anybody is pure ecstasy. It means that you get to be a professional ball player, but the later you get drafted, the chances of seeing any big league action becomes lower and lower. Knowing that his professional career arc was closer to an hourglass than it was to the big leagues, Hill showed some urgency by pitching to a 1.64 ERA between rookie and A-ball in his first year. He showed up to camp next year ready to once again prove that he was more than an afterthought, when a routine physical showed a dangerously low red blood cell count. After further tests, Hill received the same news his father did 9 years ago. The doctors were able to treat it in time, but cancer doesn't leave your body unscathed. The once 200-pound Hill was now a 150-pound skeleton. Baseball wasn't even on his mind as much as how his body was going to recover from the onslaught of cell-destroying medicine he had to endure during treatment. But that's when baseball became his motivator. This is what he was meant to do. And if not being able to throw overhand and losing his dad couldn't stop him, then nothing can. All he had to do was recondition his body and gain a little more weight. Yeah, and there he is on a major league mound. He did it. One theme you'll notice about Hill is how extremely humble he is. In fact, his humbleness made maybe one of the greatest arguments for why pitcher wins don't really matter.
Honestly, I mean, I was kind of upset that I gave up the run, and I kind of felt like I didn't do my job. Hamill should have got the win. I'm glad we won. You know, team win is always good. Would have been happier winning by 2 than him getting the win. So
yeah, that's it, right? I mean, he's overcome some major odds to get to this point. Well, we haven't really talked about this much, but Hill is a classic left-handed one-out guy, better known as a loogie. I mean, if you look at his usage with the Royals, they did get some length out of him, but his bread and butter was throwing some wasabi into the other team's best lefties' cup of tea. But in February of 2020, in an effort to increase pace of play, MLB announced the 3-batter minimum rule, which many feared would be the end of the loogie. But there was someone who didn't fear this, and that was Tim Hill.
I'm excited to prove myself that I can get righties out as well.
And if you didn't think that was enough, a global pandemic happens a few weeks later that puts the MLB season on the skids. Hill would be traded to the Padres just before the start of the shortened season. This would be good news for the Southern California native. Not only is he getting traded to a team he grew up around, he gets to be a piece for a team that has magnetizing potential. He was expecting it, but it probably felt weird being labeled as a high-risk player and getting some recommendations to maybe just sit this one out. He knew that he was putting his life on the line to step on the field, but that didn't matter to him. There's really one thing this whole time that has mattered to Tim Hill.
I just don't. I want to play baseball,
He wasn't going to let anything stop him from playing. He never did. And now, he's a reliever pitching in big games for a Padres club that could be a very special team for years to come. His story is never going to be on the top of the radar, but it's fair to say that he's been through more anguish than his teammates or any of the batters he's ever faced. But you wouldn't know it from talking to him. All he wants to do is contribute to his team. And that's what I love about him. Even in making this video, I hope I don't overexpose him to a world that he wants to lay low in. So don't like this video, don't comment, don't even share it. But next time you see Tim Hill on an MLB mound, just think about everything he had to go through to be there. And no matter if he strikes at the side or walks the bases loaded, everybody should be rooting for Tim Hill. So, how'd he end up doing in that game anyway?